Listen to the Vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. And I have here Mr. Peter Paul Parker. We're going to get to know Peter and a little bit about what he does. And now I'm going to give him the floor. Otherwise, I'll monopolize the whole conversation. So, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm very good. It's the afternoon over here, and I'm really good. I'm really looking at my life and the life of people around me, and seeing how can we get this better, and is working on that, and that positive vibration is so important to me, and that's where I'm going with my life. I mean, my story is I had a really traumatic childhood. I was born into a family of 6 boys, 5 brothers. My parents died when I was very young. I'll keep this bit short. And I was traumatized. I went to boarding school. There was lots of problems there with the priest trying to condition me and trying to make me feel like this is how you should be living your life. And I rejected all of that, even though I was traumatized. And I came out into the world, and I tried a sales job, and I got a mortgage, tried to do the traditional route of life. And I thought, this isn't living. This isn't living. This is like, I felt like I was trapped, and all the trauma was coming up inside of me. And so I just literally posted the keys to my flat through the estate agent, or you call them a real estate agent's letterbox, walked out of the mortgage, walked out of my job. And so here I am, I'm a musician. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. And I did it. And yeah, I had great times when I was living a wonderful life on the river in a big mansion, taking the boat up and down to the local pub, which is a drinking establishment. And it was great. And there was times also when I was homeless and I had nowhere to live, but they were very short and sort of in between sort of gigs, as it were. So I really enjoyed that. That was a fantastic way of living, because I was living my passion, which is what a lot of people seem to refuse to do in this world today, which I find crazy. And then with my wife, we were at a Mind, Body, Spirit show, and I started to speak to somebody at the front of a stall, and I realized my music career was kind of fading. What was I going to do next? And I was really interested in what they were having to offer, which was like a Ki Gong type sort of mind-body connection class. And I thought about it. I thought, yeah, I mean, I've had out-of-body experiences before, which made me realize that everything that's in front of us is illusory, is not everything, but all the conditioning and programming and everything that's offered to us as a society is completely not right. There's a twist and a turn to all of it. It's so corrupted. And this helped me get back into what I really am as a human being, which is I'm just a being. And then breaking past all of that preconceptions, all the condition that I had at school, all the trauma I had from my parents dying and not really having anybody when I was thrust out into work. All my brothers had left the area, and we ended up rowing in the end over stupid things like politics and things like that. And when my father died, which was when I was 19, I found that my 2 eldest brothers had taken houses from the estate and also set themselves up with careers. And I didn't realize that at the time, because I was so in a daze. But I realize now that it seems like this world is all geared around money. And money was invented really back in the age of Sumer, like 4,000 years ago. And it's a control system that is created by people who want to control our system. So it's like a slave system. And there's many ways that you can go into that. But I realized that, and I realized actually it's more about me going out into my community, not as a musician, but as a Ki Gong instructor and like a meditation coach. And I also do sound healing. And when I go out into my local community and do these types of processes for other people, the response is phenomenal. They really embrace it well, and they look at me as a really decent human being. And you realize what is true about our society. And that's what I've loved about this whole journey of coming out of the rock scene into the mind, body, spirit scene, is it realized that I am the most important human being to me on this planet. And I want other people to realize that they are important human beings as well, because we're being washed over by a system that is making us feel disempowered, useless. And especially when you get to a certain age, you feel like you're thrown on the scrap heap. And I was disgusted when I first started going into elderly community centers teaching Ki Gong and meditation, because the people were not empowered. They felt like quivering in the corner when I first walked in. And when after a few months of doing this training with them, I started to see them open up and build in their power and their confidence. You know, some of these people were like in their 90s. And I went, there's something to this about actually getting human beings to become their true selves, their true passion, their true energy. And this has made me realize I wanted to set this up as a company, which I've done. I've got online meditation that I do, and also Ki Gong that I teach online. But it's better, obviously, in the flesh, but online, because like you said earlier, it's lovely to connect with people all over the world. But it's getting people to realize what they are and the power that they have. And all of this stuff in the mind, all of it is all conditioning, because the mind has a natural way of wanting to move. Because if you look at the nature of our reality, everything moves. Everything is in frequency, flux. It's all moving. So our mind wants to do that. And what's happened with the conditioning of our society, and you can take it all the way back to the Rockefellers, who were involved with like the education system as we see it now, and the Rothschilds in this country. They've all had their fingers on it because they've been in control of the issuance of currency. So they're being able to fund these things that bring our conditioning into this position where we sit now as human beings. And there's no argument, as far as I'm concerned, when you say that the countries aren't sovereign anymore, they're corporations. The banks aren't sovereign, they are institutions, and they're private. The Federal Reserve's got nothing to do with being the federal government. The Bank of England has got nothing to do with the British government. The Vatican Bank has got nothing to do with Rome or Italy. It's all independent, privately owned corporations that are issuing the currency and keeping human beings from being what they really can be, which is a wonderful experience this can be on this planet. But how many people sit in a room when you walk into a room and say, is anybody having a wonderful experience on this planet at the moment? How many of them say yes? Nobody. Even the ones who've got all the money, they're getting stressed, anxious, they're getting upset. And to me, it's just, what are we doing? Why are we allowing this to happen? And we're sitting there and we've been given arguments like, should you take the vaccine? Shouldn't you take the vaccine? Should you be a Republican? Should you be a Democrat? Should you be this, that, color, race, creed, religion, whatever it is all set there for us to argue against each other. And I think our system and society is so corrupted now that we're all arguing amongst each other when we could actually be creating an amazing world. And I'm now starting to see, with how I feel inside of myself with meditation and mindfulness, we could actually do it without money. We could do it without money. And to say that is shocking to people. And it was, when I first heard that, it's really shocking to hear that. But when you think about it on a deeper level, there was a great story I heard where there was this guy walks into a hotel and he wants to hire a room. He's very fussy about his room. So he says, here's $100 as a deposit. I'm going to go and check my room. So he goes and checks the room. As he's doing that, someone walks into the hotel who's like he's a dry cleaner. And he says, the hotel concierge says, I owe you $100, don't I? Here's your $100, pay for the cleaning service that I did. So the cleaning service man goes around to the local plumber and he walks in there and he goes, oh my goodness, yeah, I forgot I owe you $100. Here's that $100 I owe you. Then the plumber goes to the prostitute who was in the room, who had been working with, and goodness me, I owe you $100. Here's your $100. So the prostitute goes back to the hotel and gives the concierge, oh, sorry, yeah, I forgot about giving you your $100 for your room. And then the salesman walks down and says, the room's not for me. I think I'll take my deposit back. So he gives them the $100 back for the hire of the room, for the deposit on the room. So what's just happened there? We've just been putting this piece of paper around for all our activities that we've been actually doing. And it's this little bit of paper that someone says, I'll give you £50. We say £50, or I'll give you 50 pounds of what, we say in the UK, 50 pounds of what? It used to be based on sterling, and now it's a fiat currency and it's based on nothing. So it's not even getting that information under your belt, because you should be able to see that anyway. 50 pounds of what is it exactly? It should be energy, but it's not energy, because the energy is being vamped out of us. It's like a vampire. It's like a suction thing. It's our energy is what creates our society. And because we base it on money, and when someone has control of that money, then they have control of our society. And that is why the world is what is like it is. And for more people to actually wake up and see that, and that we can change this peacefully with peace in our hearts, that is when I think that's where I want to go in my life. But it just takes time to get this information out to people. And it's what I've developed over the years that I've been working on myself with my Ki Gong and my meditation, and working with other people, is patience. Even though I just gone and hit a massive information out there in one go, it's patience and getting this information out there to people very slowly, so that they can absorb it, realize it, and then work on it.
One of the parts of meditation is the positive affirmations that we are supposed to tell each other or tell ourselves each and every day. And the reason behind that is if you constantly get that message over and over and over in your brain, then you start to believe it.
I liked Ronaldo is an enormous football star in Europe. I think he plays for Real Madrid now, but he used to play for Manchester United. But he's enormous. I mean, he's like multi-millionaire. And he sat down at a press conference recently. And this is how ridiculous the world is. And there was a bottle of Coke placed there. It wasn't really product placement, was it? It was just sitting there in front of him, in front of like Coca-Cola while you're doing sport. Anyway, he moved it, put it down, and then picked up a bottle of water and put it there. He went, Aqua. And that's all he did. And apparently Coke's shares after that incident dropped by hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions, because he'd done that. This is how fragile and ridiculous are the meme that we're born into. And it's a meme. A meme means basically that something that you can't change. You feel that it's something that you can't change, but this could be changed overnight. It's just when people start to get the power back inside of them. Just brought these questions up. And now I did the same thing with this vaccine, asking about the vaccine and saying, is this a vaccine or is this a prophylactic treatment? Is this actually going to be having the virus in the vaccine, or what is it? Is it something to stimulate your immune system to protein spikes coming into your body? And I did actually speak to the director of Public Health England in this community in Kingston area. And all she kept saying to me was, well, I trust the scientists, don't you? I trust the scientists, don't you? I trust the scientists, don't you? And no disrespect to the woman. She's a lovely woman, really lovely intentions. But I realized so indoctrinated to a system that is so corrupted. And what can you do to say, and I brought up really important really important visions that I had of this, of like, when you get vaccinated, usually the pain is just in the area that you get vaccinated in, and you get part of the virus in that vaccine. Now, this thing shoots all the way through your body, and it's like a prophylactic treatment where protein spikes come into your body and actually thicken your blood. And the NHS in this country has actually been looking into investing blood thinners to be able to distribute through the country, because they're realizing that this vaccine is thickening everybody's blood, and that's why they're getting blood clots and dying from it. That's what gets me about all of this, is when you bring up the real thing. It's like with the masks, there's no proper peer-reviewed science that's saying these masks or these gagging you are effective, because they're not. It's a bit like, to me, it's a bit like taking a bucket, cutting the bottom of the bucket out and leaving a tiny little rim on the bottom of the bucket, throwing a tennis ball up, trying to catch it with the bucket. About 1-2%, you might bounce it off the little rim. The rest of it's going to go straight through the bucket. That's about how effective the masks are.
Let me tell you something. I talked to a guy from OSHA, which is the Occupational Safety and Health Association. He told me wearing a mask is like trying to keep mosquitoes out of your yard with a chain link fence.
Yes, yes. So it's even bigger. It's even
I'm
bigger
probably
than
going to
like,
get taken down from YouTube for saying that, but hey, we'll keep it up as long as we can. People need to know the truth about this stuff. And if wearing a mask makes you feel better, makes you feel safe, then by all means do it. But don't force that on me.
what I worry about is the mentality of actually putting on a mask to make you feel safe. Because to me, it feels like my work with meditation. It feels like people are um, hiding from themselves. They want to cover themselves up. You say, "How are you doing today?" And then you find something to have a bit of a laugh about, or something to sort of interact with, and it makes your life more. You're more connected, and I think you're more connected with the field around you then.
You may be
Whereas
changing
machines,
somebody's whole day by talking to them.
yeah, you can do. You can change their life with one conversation,
Thank you.
one line. You can change that, and that's, funnily enough, that's what I feel that the overarching control system doesn't want us to do. They don't want us to discuss anything. They don't want us to talk with each other. They want us to be fearful of each other, and to be fearful of like germs and bacteria and all this stuff is madness. Because if we didn't have germs and bacteria in our gut, we'd be dead. We wouldn't be surviving in this area,
Exactly.
this world. But human beings are designed to interact with each other, and if we don't, we're cutting off this what I call the body connection, because our body connection has this impulse to be around other human beings. Some of us want to be hermits. There's a lot to be said for that. People who want to keep their own company, keep their own way out of society. And I felt I've got a little bit of that in me, but I feel also that has been increased in intensity because of the madness that I walk into when I walk into society, and when I start to talk to people and they go, "Where did you just come from?" It's like,
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm just human, the same as you. And I get many people saying, "Oh, I never saw it like that before," or "I never thought about it like that before," because their conditioning is so narrow focused. They're so focused on this is what life should be. And I've sat there with many of the psychologists in my life who come into my life trying to telling me that they called it a manic depressive. I think it's bipolar now. And they say, well, "You're manically depressed." I said, "Oh, I'm not depressed. It's just I'm trying to find a way of actually expressing myself in this world that's before me." And they say,
frustration.
"Well, yeah." And they say, "Well, they're trying to tell me it's human nature." And I said, what, at that point in my life as a young boy, I said, "What is human nature? What is human nature? You're telling me human nature is for me to want to pick up a knife and put it through your throat. You think that's human nature?" I said, "No, that would be having a distorted energy. That means there's something wrong with me." Or you to tell me this is how my life should go, that means you've got distorted energy. You're trying to impose your will on me. Whereas you should be guiding me, if anything, and you're not guiding me. You're just telling me this is how I should be. And this is where it's all gone completely wrong with humanity. Is we're losing our heart-based guidance for each other, and we're coming into the left brain and trying to get it organized and routine, like everything should be in this certain structure. And it's madness to me, and always has been. Being more right brain with loving music and creativity and having creative conversations with people, that's me. Going into this other side of the world, we're saying, "Well, you should be a salesman and this is your career and this is how you're going to do it for the rest of your life," is like, that's not me. That's not how it's going to work. Thank you very much. And that's where I had the battle with these psychologists. And I really didn't like psychology until I came across Carl Jung, when I realized it was just energies coming through you. With psychology, they want to put you in little boxes and say, "Well, you're this and you're that and you're this and you're that." Whereas Carl Jung was more saying it, well, if you're conditioned this way, you're going to be expressing this energy in this way, and you're conditioned in that way, you're being expressing that energy in that way. So it's, to me, it's all about energy. And that all came to a clear viewpoint in my mind when I started practicing Ki Gong and working on what they call the chakra systems, or the danjons, they call them in Korean. And you realize that if you're wrong in your lower danjon and your power has been taken away, you're going to naturally come up into the left brain and try and order it. And that's what they've done. They've ruined our lower chakra system, coming up into the left brain, giving you, this is your truth. hold on to it for grim life because you've got no power or grounding onto your earth. So you have to go somewhere else to get your safety. And where does that lead you? Straight into the hands of your local giving, loving government.
Mm-hmm. People make fun of people like us who believe in chakras and the energies. I've always been a very skeptical person about everything. How would you explain why you believe in these things when other people make fun of it?
Yeah, it's a very, very good question. And I've built up my empirical evidence to say that. I would never have said that 10 years ago. Say I would never even dreamt I'd be speaking like this.
Right.
Because I've seen other people like that, and I was probably one of them on the other side laughing at them, thinking, "What are you talking about?"
They think it's hippy dippy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Ki Gong, Ki means energy, Gong means utilizing well or even mastering. So it's a whole part of the five ways of traditional Chinese medicine, and it's the physical and energetic part of Chinese traditional medicine. Even though it's Korean, what I did, that whole way of looking at your health from the East, really, Ki Gong was part of that. So you're looking after your body, you're looking after the mechanics of your body and how the energy flows through your body. So you have two distinct things. You have a physical body, but also you have an energy body. And when you realize you have an energy body, you can actually start to feel it. And Ki Gong helps you to really connect with your energy. And that's when you realize your energy's on or your energy's off. So there's been times when I'm thinking, I'm going to be a real pain in the ass here to this guy. And that means you're connecting with that really bad energy, and you are. But then you could have turned that around at any point. Oh, I could have turn it around at any point. No, I'm going to be open. I'm going to be pleasant. I'm going to see what they got to say. And then if I chose to be a pain in the ass, I can be. I've got that choice to change that energy at any point. And it took me a long, long time to release the anger energy from people like Tony Blair and George Bush and stuff like that. It took me a long time, I must say. But I realized at that point, I was holding on to that anger, and you hold on to it with your liver, which is why I used to drink like a fish to try and just get rid of all of that anger.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized all I'm doing is hurting myself with anger, and I'm hurting myself with too much alcohol. Being in the rock world, I mean, goodness me, it was just like normal to be drunk every day. And I realized that was terrible. So Ki Gong helped me realize about my energy system and how it works. With the chakra system, I got into sound healing. Sound is everything. Sound is the resonance of everything on this planet. And if you listen to Nikola Tesla, whose mind was brilliant, and we wouldn't have a lot of this technology we've got today if it wasn't for him. He said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, look at sound, frequency, and vibration. So everything has its vibratory sort of levels. And when you look at cymatics, you can see when they put sound frequencies through a metal plate with sand on it, it creates certain shapes.
Yep.
And we have this inside of us. Each organ has a certain resonance, and each chakra actually has a certain resonance. And what blew me away, and this is because I did not believe in the chakra system at all. What blew me away was the idea that you could have a certain resonance for each chakra. So I bought the chakra tuning forks, and I started to take these tuning forks over the chakras. And when they were underachieving, they would go dead. And when they were overachieving, they would light up. And I would talk about each attribute of the chakra to somebody who had no idea what they were talking about. And I wasn't saying that I was doing this with your chakra system. And I would say, this is, I found this and I found this. I'd say, you're underachieving on your power. Do you feel tired at the moment? Do you feel, or asking them questions, how do you feel at the moment? And I feel like, oh, I'm a bit tired. And their lower chakra would be sort of under performing. And say your solar plexus, which is about you and your interaction with yourself and your ego. You feel, well, and the solar plexus would be underperforming. They would have very low self-esteem and feel very disconnected from everybody, because the solar plexus actually comes up to your heart, which is your love, empathy, and compassion. So that would be down. So I would be doing these chakra treatments with the tuning forks and hearing back what I was experiencing with the tuning forks. And to me, that was when that happened to me, that was like a paradigm changer. I thought, geez, what is this being hidden from us from this. They tell us like in our ancient scripts that this is what it is and this is how it works with you, but it's all done in sort of like a code, almost like they're trying to keep it away from something that's looking over an overview of our society, looking down at it and saying, well, they're not actually telling each other that at the moment, so everything's okay. Once we realize that our chakra system can change, or our energy system can change the environment around us, that's when we become empowered. And that's when we can look at this world. And many people who are doing this are saying, actually, I live in this world over here, and I'm looking at your world over there. I'm living in a utopia compared to that, with my mind and my body, and getting out into my garden and growing food, enjoying the environment, creating a beautiful garden around me, creating beautiful friends around me. And you're in this believing that, what's his name? Anyone's going to come along and heal you. Like Joe Biden, for instance, is going to come in on his horse, knight in shining armor, to rescue you from your life. You got to do it for yourself, and you can do it. If I can do it, and you've done it, anybody can do it. You know, you could. It's just about your perception of how this life is. If you think you're the material body, that means you're in the stress and you're anxious. You're in the fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous state. You're in that state. Because what that naturally does is bring your energy into your body and out to your extremities. So you also get hooked on cortisol, which is like the stress hormone. So you're continually coming into your body. So when you start to talk to people about this kind of stuff and they're in that really stressed state, they will say, what on earth are you talking about? Which really makes me laugh now. But at the time, I'm saying, if you were to really embrace this information and get it inside of you, you can turn that stress state around very quickly and become much more relaxed, more easy about your life. And you'll start to discover your life purpose and why you're here and what you're doing here. Because these are the big questions that nobody seems to ask anymore. And we've been given the redeemer complex from our religions to say you have to go through somebody else to get your connection to the higher force, whatever that be, or whatever you call it, like God or the consciousness or divine energy, whatever you want to call it. You have to do it for yourself. Nobody else is coming in to do that for you. And what we seem to have happen in our world is people have come in and hijacked that connection. So they're taking that connection away from you having the power and sovereignty to do it for yourself, so that you have to go through them to do it. And to me, that is really messed up. When I first realized this, I thought, what on earth is going on? And who, more importantly, who would want to do that to another human being? Who would want to impose themselves that much on another human being that they want you to go through them? It's a weakness. I think the teachings of Jesus was amazing. And I remember first going into religious studies and listening to the words of Jesus. Something, I can get goosebumps talking about it now. Something sparked up inside of me going, wow, who is this guy? This is amazing teachings. And then it came to a little while, a few classes in, and then I put my hand up and says, why aren't you monks living like Jesus? I was thrown out of the class. The teachings of Jesus are, whatever he was an enlightened being. And some people say he didn't even exist, but I believe that he did go through the Vedas, like travel through India, and he was another recognized master, a really big spiritual spirit. He's a spirit, he's an energy.
Yeah. And he taught you to question things.
Yes. And you look at his life, right? He did not agree with the establishment at the time. He was a rebel, right?
That's right.
He did not agree with the Roman occupation of them coming in. He didn't agree with the Jewish people who were running the synagogues at the time. He was fighting with them. He didn't agree with anything. And the only time he used physical force, which goes back to what I was talking about earlier, was to kick the bankers out of the temple. I don't want you in my temple. And then when you bring this up to a Christian, you go, well, he didn't want these bankers in his temple. Why are we doing this now? Why are we allowing this to happen? Because possibly the bankers have taken over the religion. Have you ever thought about that? I saw a brilliant film about, it was actually a box set about the Borgias, I think they were Spanish, and how they were in the Vatican. And it's just the opening scene, which really sort of sums this up. What I'm saying is you've got this encrusted glove with all these rubies and gold and this bowl, this beautiful encrusted bowl that comes out from the right side of the screen, and the left hand side of the screen, this really dirty hand with really tatty clothes on, reaches out as they meet in the middle, that the grubby hand drops the money into the encrusted bowl, and then the money goes back towards where the glove came from. And I went, and I when I first saw that, I thought, that is definitely the wrong way around. That is someone with all the riches taking the money from those who are poor. And that's what's happened in our society today. In this latest year or so, we've had the biggest transfer of wealth ever in our world. Billions have gone to the corporations. More and more people at the bottom end of the society are struggling to live. And they're even talking about people choosing between heat and food this winter in England. And I'm thinking,
oh my God,
geez, how bad has this got to get? And how more obvious has it got to get before people actually realize what is going on here? To me, it's all about connecting with yourself and actually looking at this world and realizing what you are and where you're at. And I love personally reading about the Vedas because they talk about the different ages. Like you've got the golden age, silver age, bronze age, and then you've got the iron age, which we're in at the moment. And it's easier for you to wake up and see what you don't want in this world today. And what amazes me is that people are looking at this world and do you want this? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Do you want this? Do you want to read in a newspaper or a magazine, which is almost coming out now in the mainstream media, to say, for instance, Fauci could be involved with the gain of function funding that happened in the Wuhan lab? Do you want that? Do you want that? There's a possibility in that statement, and nobody is actually looking into it. Do you want that in your world? I would say most people should say no, but people are saying, I don't know. They're sort of like indifferent to it, ambiguous. It's like, come on, what is the matter? And I've always said this, what is the matter with everybody? Why are you doing this? I used to take that as a victim for myself. Like, no one's listening to me, I can't be heard. Now I'm seeing, actually, there are more people listening to what I'm saying because more people are saying what I'm saying. And to me, it's not about me, it's about the energy that we're putting onto the planet now that's going to wipe all of this off. And is some people say, I've spoken to, say it's about 3% of us now who are really waking up to this. And as soon as it gets up to about 10%, it will go. So I implore anybody listening to this podcast, connect with yourself, connect with what you are, who you are, where you're coming from, and open your mind to all these different possibilities. Even if you think Ki Gong and the chakra system is all a load of gobbledygook, just look into it, try it. Experiment with it and see where you come out with it. Because if you go into it with an open mind, you might really surprise yourself. But if you go into it with a closed mind and you think, no, there's nothing to this, guess what? You will see there's nothing to this. You can block it. And that's the amazing thing about us, that we have this protective system where we can block outer energies coming into us. And that I realized then we have the power to stop this negative energy coming onto us. But we need to turn it off. We need to turn off the radio. We need to turn off the television. We need to turn off all these things that are trying to hold this meme that we're born into together. And when we turn it off, and then someone actually comes to you once you've detoxed from the mainstream media, and someone comes to you and goes, well, did you hear about this? They're gonna drop this now, and you'll say, hang on a minute, what are you talking? They're gonna drop this? That doesn't make any sense. And then you realize what's coming out of the mainstream media makes no sense whatsoever. Makes no sense whatsoever to you as a human being. If you go along with the story, you'll get swept into it, and it will take you on a ride that is horrendous. If you come out, step back from it, and actually start to create the life that you want, which is a big question, what do you actually want? That's when everything changes, and that's when everything becomes positive, because you have the power to do it for yourself. How I teach it is you connecting with your body. So you'll be doing like joint rotations. You stretch out the meridians, and meridians are scientifically proven energy lines that go through the body. So, and you're tapping, a lot of tapping the body. So you're strengthening the bones, the bone marrow production, a lot of tapping, stretching, but moving in a certain way. So you're moving mindfully. When you think about how we move, most people have got tense shoulders, and it's a very, like, just a simple, they call it clearing, when you bring both hands up outside, then come down the central channel of your body. Most people have got their shoulders up because they don't move in the correct way. That's wasting energy. So Ki Gong is about you keeping your energy for yourself and starting to build up on your energy system, because we give it away. We just give it away so easily.
Yeah.
So it's like rotating the joints, moving the body. Then we do Ki Gong routines, which would be like Tai Chi. So every Tai Chi movement is a Ki Gong movement, but not every Ki Gong movement is a Tai Chi movement. So you can do a Tai Chi routine and call it Ki Gong, but you can't do a Ki Gong routine and call it Tai Chi. Ki Gong came first, which is a healing art. It's for you to heal your body. And that involves breathing, lying there, deep breathing, sitting there, meditating. Ki Gong is literally everything that you can do for your health when it comes to your mind, your body, and your spirit. So breathing, moving, meditating. But I love the routines. When you start to move the body without any tension, and then you start to flow with the energy around your body, and your body starts to feel very, very light and very, very soft, and you feel very, very connected with the field around you. And that's what really got me. As soon as I started to move my body and really focus 100% on my body, my stress and anxiety, they went like that. To get rid of the trauma, taken me many, many years, but I'm starting to deal with the trauma. I don't think you ever really get over some of the abominations that you see in your life, but you learn to cope with it better. And I think that's what Ki Gong has done for me. It really got me to connect more with my body, get rid of this ridiculous traumatic and emotional roller coaster that I was on in my earlier life, to make it more what I want to do. And I just love teaching it live. I do it on the internet as well, but I love teaching it live. And I think it's something we should all think about, like deep breathing, moving the body as often as we can, keeping the joints flexible. If you think about it, I always use this analogy. When you put a vintage car into a garage for 30 years, you cover it up, you make sure no dust gets in there, and then you bring it back out, you put a fresh battery in there, you start it up, it'll probably start first time, no problem. But if you do that with a human body, it will come out and it will be dead, because you need to be moving your body all the time. And all this sedentary lifestyle where people are just sitting on computer screens, I'm seeing people problem with their hips in their 20s now. And we're designed to move our bodies, and we are being pushed into these positions where we're stuck on screens all day, and we're sitting down there on screens all day, and we're not doing anything. Whereas look at our hands, they're amazing creatures, amazing inventions. And yet when I do little Ki Gong movements where you try and move your fingers individually, and most people can't do that. So they're not connected with their body. And when you put one palm up and one fist up, and then you push out, and then you switch one palm on the left hand and your fist on the right hand, then a palm on your right hand and a fist on your left hand, and you push out like that, most people can do that quite easily. When they bring it to their body, they can't do it. And there's a change there. And what's weird about it is I'm saying you are conditioned to go out and not to come in. And this is where all your stress and anxiety is coming from. So Ki Gong is bringing your mind more into your body, so you're more connected with your body. And that's what's really powerful about it. And that's why I'm really passionate about it, because the elderly people I've actually worked with, the changes in them, it's kind of reversed the arthritis in their hands. They're starting to move more. They're more flexible. They're more bright. They're more positive about their lives. And it's just about them connecting with their bodies. That's what I find absolutely phenomenal about the whole practice.
Thank you again. And I want to thank everybody that listens and watches us. If this is your first time, hey, we're so glad you stopped by. Please come back. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. If you're a regular, thank you for your support, because without you, we couldn't do what we do. So until the next one, take care. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network